Look, that's why you gotta be sure. 3, 2, 1, go. Wait, you gotta hip thrust. Oh god. I gotta sit down. I'm sorry.
we're too old for that.
Hey guys, welcome to House 317. I'm your host Rodney, joined by permanent roommates Josh and Brandon, here to talk about Fantastic Beasts, Secrets of Dumbledore. Guys, this was a pretty good movie. Not a ton of hype to it. I don't know why it didn't feel that way.
I
have many reasons why this.
Let's go ahead and start.
Okay.
Why was it so hyped?
Okay.
We were used to, so 10 years ago, Harry Potter, huge piece. We were standing in lines trying to get in. This did not have any kind of that kind of feeling.
Yeah.
I was about to say, even the theater was very light.
No!
Right.
It's like
I think it was about half.
No, not even that.
I'll just say that at the moment, I don't know which fan base is the worst. I don't know if it's Harry Potter, Star Wars, which is always Star Wars, or I'll just say the Snyder cult, the Snyderverse cult.
Snyder cult.
I really don't know, because obviously there's a lot of controversy with J.K. Rowling when it comes to her comments about trans people. I don't think we need to get into that, because that's that's opening up a can. There was a lot of talk about like boycotting the movie because of her, which is insane to me because she has such a small part.
like a speck.
Yes, I get that this franchise is all because of her, but there's so many more people involved in this movie that matter and want to do good in this movie. Like, I like this franchise a whole lot. I love the first one. I actually like the second one. Yeah. Obviously, it's not a great movie. Wasn't as good as the first one, and there's so many issues with it. But I actually still liked it. I just love this universe. I started off not liking Harry Potter. Like, I got into it because of the movies, then read the books. I want this franchise to succeed. Yeah. And I'm still hoping that it will finish at 4 or 5 or however many they want to do. But there's so much negative feedback or negative comments and viewing because of J.K. Rowling, which is why you probably didn't see much of her at all when it came to hyping this up. And you talked about there not being much hype. I think that's part of it. And there's talk about they're not wanting to greenlight the next 2 or 1 or whatever until they see how this one
does. Yeah.
Which, by the way, the audience score is actually really, really good.
It's not terrible. It's not terrible.
85%?
Yeah.
So
it's not terrible. It's not terrible.
Okay. Let's just get that out of the way.
So that's out of the way. It felt lackluster going into the movie theater. It didn't feel like it had a lot of energy.
I was hyped.
Yeah, I wanted to go see it. I think the whole teasing out Dumbledore piece is great, just trying to figure him out as best you can. But let's talk about the movie. So, overarching themes around the movie had a lot of those elements of, much like the Harry Potter universe had, just kind of growing up, hitting those pieces of family, hitting on those pieces of just people being set up to be lost and how to be found. So let's talk about a little bit about that and what the elements of the movie brought on. And we'll start with B.
Good choice.
Going with me first, just so you ain't got to.
Well, he already had like 5 minutes to talk.
No, it was, I love some of the character development there. And I think the part...
Let's talk about Ezra Miller's character first. So let's unpack that guy.
Oh, I was going to go with Dumbledore first.
No, why would you not start with Dumbledore?
I just, that one is kind of, but let's go.
The main title character.
Yes.
Secrets of Dumbledore.
I like him better. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm talking about Dumbledore.
Oh, no, she didn't. Oh, yes, she did. No, she didn't. Yes, she did. No, she didn't. Yes, she did, Peter. I just saw it.
I really enjoyed his character growth.
Okay.
Personally. I, like you get snippets of who he is and some of its history there within the Harry Potter series itself, but like this really starts to bring a lot of his character to life. And Jude Law, like, you're killing it, man. Loved it. Bravo. But it was really interesting to see the softer side of him, like what really motivates him. Yeah, the love part of it.
Yeah.
And it's,
Can I ask what would possess you to make such a thing? Love?
There's also, like, you know, his story with his brother and how all that comes about with the Dumbledore history, which was like, I did not see that coming.
There was a lot of tension there, right?
Yeah.
And so if you've read the books, we talk about the sister, and we talk about the sister, the fighting between the two, the fighting that led to her death, you know. So there's a lot of tension in that relationship, but they're still quite close. And so by the end of the movie, now let's go into our character that we wanted to talk about to begin with.
But there was one part
I was on team shut it down.
I know, you're trying to shut it down, but I'm not done yet. All right, anyways, no, like what I saw as something fairly beautiful there within his story was from beginning to end, like he's very sad. You see that he's got a lot of remorse. And even him and some of the other characters have talks and moments where they're actually kind of guiding him versus them, which I found kind of interesting. But what was really nice was at the very end, of course, and I can't remember the creature's name, so I'm going to have to rely on
That's okay. Baby deer.
Baby deer. That's what it was. When it bowed to him versus bowing to any of the candidates first. And you kind of get that little bit of resolve there where he's like, no, but also he understands the honor of that and how he can still identify himself as pure heart, where I think he was battling that a little bit.
Which is interesting because, I mean, if you go back and well, I guess at this point in time that we know Dumbledore is different than what we know of Dumbledore in Harry Potter, because you could say that, you know, it's a pretty shady character in the Harry Potter series.
He's manipulative.
But,
which
manipulative.
he is now.
Right. He is now too.
I was waiting for him to go to Jacob. Actually, I was
Right.
waiting for the
Right, I'll talk
to go
about
to
that
Jacob.
too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did find that interesting because, and again, to your point, if that person's being deceitful or manipulative, the deer's going to be like, you know, bump you. But it was kind of like, does it have to deal with the intention of that manipulation?
The greater good.
For the greater good, we can screw everybody. No, so again, so we had his character, we have Grindelwald's character, and we have Ezra Miller's character. So I'll let you choose this time, since you want to twinkle toes around it. What's the spider walk called, or the crab walk called?
The crab walk.
He wants the crab walk around it.
His was interesting too. Like you know, of course.
He didn't say anything in the movie. Maybe he had 6 lines.
I want to know who I am.
You see a lot of different body language with him, which was how he was telling the story that way. I didn't catch on to the whole him dying thing. I found that very interesting, and why the Phoenix was still
spoiler alert.
Yeah, they actually never. Yeah, spoiler alert. That's a given. They actually, I don't think they ever. Well, actually, no, because you know the Phoenix doesn't show up to him in the second movie until the very end.
Yeah,
right.
It's at the very end,
because it's like they are part of the Dumbledore heritage there. So like like the second movie ends you thinking like, oh, like that's what resolves him being a Dumbledore, because there was that speculation there.
That was a shocker.
And to know, and then you're like, but they didn't. There were only 2 brothers. There aren't 3. So where did he fall on that line? Yeah. So that was kind of an interesting take on him being his brother's son, and that was super interesting.
And that was a big reveal kind of situation, because we were curious if Grindelwald was just lying to him.
That's what I assumed.
But then, like you said, we saw the Phoenix at the end of the movie, which kind of aligns with that whole Dumbledore family. And then they revealed that it's not a brother; it's a nephew. It's a nephew, and so it's Aberforth's son. And the cool piece was them communicating with the mirror, because there's ties to that with the Harry Potter universe, and so that was a good tie-in. At times, and I'm going to ask this for Josh. At times, the Fantastic Beasts franchise almost feels like it tries too hard to tie into the Harry Potter universe. Like they try to, like, for example, when they bring up somebody's name, they got to bring up first and last name like we don't already know. And it feels forced. Talk a little bit about that, and why do you feel like they have to do that?
Well, I mean, one, I think blatant, like, kind of callback to the Harry Potter series, which actually shouldn't actually be possible, is McGonagall. I don't think McGonagall is teaching at Hogwarts, like, in the books at that time. Like, it's like she should not be there.
Why is it when something happens, it is always you three?
It's that, and it's honestly, I honestly think it's because J.K. she wrote the screenplay for the first and second one, and then you have Steve Kloves come back, who was the screenwriter for I think all of them except one of the Harry Potter series. So I just think they took a big U-turn to say, hey, we need to course correct. And let's just throw Hogwarts in there, Quidditch, all this stuff that, which you honestly can't blame them for.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. Like, some of it seems forced, but it kind of makes sense because they are trying to make money.
No, absolutely.
So,
absolutely. That's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah,
Is this just a money ploy to say, hey, can we capture a little bit of the Harry Potter flavor,
which I'm not mad
environment?
about. So.
I'm not mad about it either. It just, at times, it feels really forced. And it frustrated me.
I think this franchise just, it lacks that magical feeling. Even though, like, the magic we see in the movie, especially this one, is like...
Oh, man.
Like,
the way that they choreograph the fight scenes.
Every fight scene
beautiful.
Reminded me, it seemed like they were going into the mirror dimension.
I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, that whole little tip.
Nobody else knows what's going on. That was great.
But yeah, I want to talk about, like, with Albus and Credence, or whoever you want to call Ezra now. His character.
Credence.
Yeah, I'm going to call him Credence. Like, their fight scene was great, and I love the fact that, like, Dumbledore and the Phoenix itself was trying to get rid of the Obscurus. And at one point, like, like, he actually separated.
Yeah.
And then it still found its way back. Like, I thought that was really powerful. Like you said, the cinematography in those fight scenes was... Like, when I was telling Angela, like, when we left, like, I want to see it again. And I think I did that with the first movie. Second movie, I thought, if I see it, I see it. But, like, I actually want to see this again. Like, I think I really love this movie. Like, the more I think.
And that's the next piece I wanted to talk about, is the fight sequencing. And so, Credence versus Dumbledore versus Albus, because they're both Dumbledores, so I guess we got to specify. So, Credence versus Albus, that fight scene felt more extreme than it really was, because at the end, you could just get a sense of how overpowered Albus is, and how much he overpowered him at all. I mean, just, he had no chance. He had no chance.
Like, there are moments where I thought Albus was like, oh crap. Like, it was almost like he was letting him.
It's like a chess game. He was 16 steps ahead. And there was nothing.
I was trying to figure out.
I mean, like seeing like all that, like he knows he's there.
Yeah.
He knows what's about to happen. I mean, the whole movie was about a chess game.
Yeah.
It was just like moving pieces here and there.
Well, that's Dumbledore.
That is Dumbledore, right? And that's his fighting style. But let's talk about the fight with Grindelwald, because that one interests me, because not only did Grindelwald lose, but he lost with the Elder One. So talk a little bit about that.
I read up on this.
So go ahead.
Yeah.
I have things to say, but go ahead.
Yeah. So in reading up and trying to understand that same sentence, like, because I was like, well, I thought the other one was undefeatable, but then why did Harry beat Voldemort? Which you can get into the whole, like, well, did he ultimately...
He didn't really own the wand.
He didn't really own the wand.
Right.
Harry was the master of the other.
Right.
Yeah. So there's some semblances.
Okay,
there,
I just want to make sure we understand.
Make sure we're on the same page.
So I'm setting that up for a reason. There's still this notion that it's an unbeatable wand. It's not the truth. It's just like, because you can be. I mean, imagine if you're like the worst wizard and you're holding the other wand. It doesn't mean you're going to beat a master. Like you got to know how to use it.
Then what's the point of the Elder One if it's not a wand that can conquer?
So there is that, but it is a powerful wand. But they actually, in the Three Brothers story and all that, there's some language in there that sets it up as not as a undefeatable wand. That became more folklore over time because of the people and the death and the carnage that came from it. But that was also because they had very powerful wizards behind it.
That's a theory. I don't believe it, but it's a theory.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Which is why Dumbledore, because he was more powerful, and there's also this whole sense of the Elder Wand recognizes a stronger wizard.
Okay.
And so
I've
like
heard that part.
it's there's like some of that like, oh, like, well, what if I want to, hitch my ride over there? All right, So there's some oddities there, but I think that was what made that scene a little more interesting in that he was able to beat him. No, well, he beat him.
He didn't beat him.
Well, he didn't disarm him.
They
Which
more or
is,
less
wait,
just
wait, wait,
stopped.
which is a key factor
Who,
too.
who did not disarm who?
No one disarmed anybody
Exactly.
because they just stopped.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They just stopped.
There was no like.
There wasn't really, like I think that's what we see in the 4th and the 5th that they make on this, because that was where my curiosity was. Is like, oh, like I thought in that moment we were going to see Dumbledore obtain the Elder Wand, but he didn't.
No, he never
which is
does
gonna,
that until
yeah, he doesn't do that till
defeats
later.
her.
Yeah, so
Okay,
it was a
so-
whole interesting thing. But anyways,
Go ahead,
I digress.
Josh. Your thoughts.
Yes.
My favorite part of that ending scene, or the battle, I was hoping we would have a flashback, and this is going back to kind of the middle of the movie. I was hoping we'd get some type of flashback with Dumbledore and Albus.
Aberforth.
Thank you.
There you go.
Grindelwald and Ariana. Like, I would hope we would get almost like a glimpse of what happened. I'm not upset they didn't do it, but I didn't know. Like, I thought, and
It
I
would have
could-
added to the story. You're right.
Yeah.
I think that's a missed opportunity.
Well, see, I thought, and I could be completely wrong, but in the books, I always thought it was they never knew who fired the spell between. They didn't know if it was Albus or Grindelwald.
And-
That was mine, and like I said, I could be completely wrong. I haven't read the last book in a while, but so it was between Albus and Aberforth that may have killed.
But
Ariana.
she was already dying too,
Yes.
right? Because she had the what's it called? The black thing, the sludge, just like Credence does. Yeah, the Oscurus.
Yeah.
And so she didn't know how to manifest her magic with stuff where it just ate her from the inside. So she was dying anyways. But yeah,
What I love about that, because it was a callback to that story and to their time in that moment of killing Ariana,
Same thing.
was when Grindelwald shot the spell at Credence to kill him. Both Aberforth and Albus connected their wands to save Credence instead of the opposite. Like, that parallel was my favorite part.
Yeah.
At first I thought it was Dumbledore, and then Dumbledore was over there, and I'm like,
Yeah.
did I miss something? And then
Yeah, no,
it was
the way the camera shifts there, kind of like, wait a minute. Yeah. I thought that too.
But yeah, like, I love that piece of going back to their sister dying because of one of them to them saving another Dumbledore. Love that piece.
There's a lot of those sprinkled across the entire movie, and as we always do in the channel, we talk about humanity in any movie or any episode that we watch, and that is a huge piece of it. But going back to Credence and talking about his pieces of humanity, because he's a villain, obviously, he's aligning with Grindelwald. Grindelwald's using him, but he has a void, right? And so he's constantly looking to not be alone. And that hits on a lot of what we have going on in the world with missing parents, etc. And so, he is constantly searching for what he wants to know his family, right? And so he's hanging on to those words that Grindelwald gave him at the end of movie 1, where you're a Dumbledore. And although initially Grindelwald wants to use it as a fuel for hate, anger, revenge, I think it kind of turns on him through the communication with the mirror when he realizes that Aberforth is his father, right?
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen until the very end. And so it's kind of like a relief for him that at the end he was still with someone.
Yeah.
And so not alone. And so
He got to go home.
Yeah, he got to go home. He got to go home not alone, with someone by his side. And so those are great pieces. Overall, go ahead, Josh.
I was gonna say, I want to kind of bring up Jacob because I think we can all agree that he's kind of the heart
He is, yeah.
of this franchise.
I'm the only one like me.
Man, I was nervous. I thought thought Jacob was gone. Halfway through, I'm like, he's dead.
Yeah.
He's so dead. And then you
It's
get the
like,
moment where when Grindelwald fires the spell, I'm like, oh, it's not green. I
I
thought he was dead, and then the spell wasn't green, and it was just.
Oh
like,
yeah, I was waiting for
Christianity
him to use him as an
I
example.
would
and just drop
argue.
him right there.
I would argue the more powerful element in that situation would be Greenie's approach, because Greenie's alignment with Grindelwald is all to protect Greenie. We were talking about green spells. I'm sorry.
Lord,
Queenie.
This
Queenie.
episode is
Queenie.
brought by the letter Q.
Hey, I see it's big and round there, and
Yeah.
it's got this little wiggly tail right there.
Right there.
And that's how you can tell it's a Q.
Moving right along, I would argue the more powerful element is Queenie's approach to the whole thing, the
Yeah.
relationship,
Yeah.
because her drive for going with Grindelwald is to protect Jacob. It's not to separate herself, or it's not what Jacob thinks is with him telling her no for marriage. It's really just to protect him, because she knows that getting together like that would risk exposing him as the Muggle in the current environment that this whole movie kind of talks about, which is radical political views.
But she wanted him to go with her in the second movie.
Yeah,
though.
she did. She did. But I think she realized that it would put him in danger, and so I think she separated herself so that he would be protected.
I do have to say, her first appearance in the movie, she had a crazy eye going. Like it was.
Oh.
It was a little.
Like I couldn't quit looking at it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was a choice or.
No. Well, like it was
not a choice.
And let's think about this too. She kind of becomes she's almost kind of like the Rat from Avengers Endgame, where if she didn't play a particular role or just didn't happen to do this, then would everything had fallen apart. That's kind of where I see her.
Oh, the Rat. Got it.
Yeah,
No,
in
I
the
got
van.
it. I was
In the
trying to
van
figure out
thing.
if I agree.
So as we're wrapping up what we think of the movie, where do we think they're going from here? What are they going to do now? If the movie does well, where do we go? If the movie doesn't do well, do we just stop here? What are we doing?
Okay.
I mean,
I think
they ended it in a way where you could.
You could just,
You
and
could just
that's
let
what
it
I'm
be.
saying. Like, there was no lead up. There was no, like with the Harry Potter movies, like it just kind of stops in the middle of nowhere sometimes. And you're like, oh, but there's still this overarching item that's hanging over them, Lord Voldemort. Here, okay, Grindelwald got defeated in the public eye, right? And so, yeah, he's still out there, but is he the big bad? Of course he is. But it was just like, they could end it there.
Yeah, no, the way that they had the resolve there with the wedding and how Albus just kind of leaves the scene as the end of the movie, like, I think that's probably why they set it up that way. In the event that it doesn't, there's a little bit of like a known conclusion, like eventually he's going to find him, eventually he's going to get the elf wand and all that.
I agree with that. I do think that they set themselves up to go either way. Where it's going to be ending is we already know how it's going to end. It's supposed to end with Grindelwald being defeated by Dumbledore in 1945. My big issue is we have 2 movies, if that's where we go, to jump a lot of time.
Oh, yeah.
One thing I thought was very interesting was at the end of the wedding is when Newt basically said, don't involve me again. I was like, if we continue, is this no longer a Fantastic Beasts movie?
No, he said, don't involve me again?
I thought he said,
I would do it again.
I would do it again.
No. He said, basically Dumbledore was saying, like, I'll try not to involve you or come to you, because if you do, oh man, I'm messing it up. But I took it as Newt was saying, don't do it again.
Oh, and see, I took it as.
I'll have to go back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
now you
no,
gotta go
I
watch
mean,
it
it could
or
be.
not.
It could. You pay more attention to stuff like this. I thought he said I would do it.
Yeah,
again.
it was more of affirmation, like, look, like, this was for the
And it's
great
interesting
good.
that this is the first time we've talked about Newt Scamander, and it's
I know,
his
right?
movie.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
his
yeah.
movie.
I was, like, a lot of people have also said that like they wish this franchise would have just gone as 5 movies of them just hunting bees. Something like that is terrible.
Yeah.
I would not want to watch 5 movies. Obviously,
that,
you would have
yeah.
these little intricate storylines in between, probably, but I don't want to see 5 movies of that. I'm fine with seeing Dumbledore.
Yep.
I'm like, Newt was just a launching pad into the story,
Right.
and that's fine.
because he's a centerpiece. He played a very pivotal
Yeah,
role.
I love Newt. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun.
he's one of
It's
my
fun.
favorite Harry Potter characters. Like since this.
He's killing me. He's killing me. All right, so we have a couple of directions that we think it's going to go. The grades overall, if we're going to get started with me, B- is kind of where I land. Again, the pieces that rubbed me the wrong way were the forced elements to tie Fantastic Beasts to Harry Potter. We know it's tied. You don't have to tell us it's tied. Just move on, right? Just move on. Also, you know, I just felt they underdid some of the magic pieces. Like it was more. I feel like they underdid it. I think the fight scenes could have been more drawn out. It could have been a little bit better.
They were quick, but
they were very quick. They were very. But I understand Albus is a gangster and he can end any battle in a minute. But I feel like they were underdone. And then lastly,
I'm disagreeing. With
and then lastly, the movie took a while to set up.
It was a slow burn.
It was a
That's
slow
fair.
build. I mean, we got to that movie at 9:40, and it's like 11
It was
o'clock. And I'm
8:40. Come on.
8:40. I'm looking at B like, is this movie gonna like go on somewhere? And it's like 11 o'clock, and we're trying to figure out if this movie's going.
He was making sure I wasn't falling asleep.
He was falling asleep. It was a hot mess.
Look,
So
I'm an
B-
old man.
for
I'm
me,
tired.
just based on those three pieces.
B-, you said?
B-.
I was gonna give it.
B?
I was gonna give it. Well, B. Yeah, obviously. No, B+ for me. I see. I disagree with the magic scenes. I loved them. I thought they were very well done.
I didn't say I didn't love them. I said they could have developed them more.
Like, if you're saying it in the sense of they felt short, that's fair. I'll give you that. I wanted more, but like that's how good it was. It's like because of how powerful, how quick, how smart the moves were. Like that's almost like
the whole crab
Disapparating,
sequence.
too. I love
The
that.
absolutely.
I love
Using that in a fight scene.
Why
that
not?
is exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you had an entire section where they had no magic whatsoever during the escaping the jail. Like, come on, guys! Like, it's a magic movie.
No, he didn't have
Zero magic.
Yeah, like Newt didn't have his wand. Theseus didn't have his wand. But there's wandless magic.
Right! It's a
yeah.
movie about magic, and you win an entire series with no magic.
Yeah,
because
I got
he's
you.
missing his one. Anyways, yes.
I'll say B+.
Okay.
I agree with you. I enjoyed it. The fight scenes, yes, they were short, but it makes sense. How long of a fight should you expect between Albus and Credence?
He's overpowered. I get it. I know.
And the
so
final
good.
fight, which I loved, should not be long. Because if this goes 4 or 5 movies and we get to see the battle between Dumbledore and Grindelwald, I want it to be epic, and I'm glad it was short.
Yeah, you didn't
And
want
it was
that.
beautiful.
You didn't want that all to happen so quickly, right?
Yeah, the slow-mo shots
Yeah.
of the blood pack going down, with them fighting, that was great.
I love that moment of
I was fired up
realization
with
too, because like in slow mo, just like, oh, jump, oh, okay,
So, B+.
let's go.
B+.
Awesome. Guys, we like the movie. You should go out and watch it. We want some more of these, so please make sure you go out and watch it and support it. If you have any comments or disagree with our opinions, leave it in the comment section of the video. Hit that like and subscribe button. Y'all take care of each other, and peace.